Chapter 3480. On the counter was an old man. This was a big shot of the military council, his strength unfathomable. He swept a glance over Lin Kei indifferently and said, "Take out your resting image stones then." "Okay." Lin Kei nodded his head. Waving his hand, he took out 6 pieces of resting image stones and handed them to the old man. Then the old man took out 6 miniature array discs and placed the 6 pieces of resting image stones on the array discs. The 6 pieces of resting image stones immediately lit up. One image after another emerged. In the vast starry sky, intense fighting. A large number of powerhouses were fighting. This was precisely the scene of Lin Kei bringing people to fight with the barbarians. It was only to see barbarians fall in front of them one after another. So impressive. Those are terrifying 3rd-level Divine Lord powerhouses, right? Right, there are even 4th-level Divine Lords. 1 4th-level Divine Lord, 3 3rd-level Divine Lords. This is the combat power under Lin Kei's command? Indeed astonishing. The military council's resting image stones were very peculiar. From the images on the resting image stones, one could determine the cultivation realm of the people in the images. They could tell that there was 1 4th-level Divine Lord and 3 3rd-level Divine Lord existences under Lin Kei's command. Lin Kei's talent was very high. There were naturally many powerhouses relying on him. It was only to see one barbarian after another being killed by Lin Kei's people. So astonishing, I took a look. There were 2 3rd-level Divine Lord powerhouses killed by them from start to finish. To be exact, there are 2 3rd-level Divine Lords, 5 2nd-level Divine Lords, and 11 1st-level Divine Lords. A total of 18 Divine Lord realm powerhouses. As for Divine Kings, I don't even know how many of them there are. This is a great merit, a heaven-shaking great merit. This is enough for Lin Kei's family mansion to be promoted to the Marquis Mansion. Totally can, the 9 great general stars, well deserving of their reputation. The surrounding people looked at the images in the air, marveling endlessly. Lin Kei looked at Lu Ming coldly and said, "See that? What's a powerhouse? Just based on those few monkeys that you brought. How can they compare?" Finished talking, he even looked at Yuan Song and the rest behind Lu Ming very disdainfully. "Indeed can't compare." Lu Ming nodded his head very seriously. Ha ha ha. Lin Kei laughed heartily, thinking that Lu Ming had finally recognized the reality and realized the gap between them. "Not bad, not bad. With these merits and the ones you've made before, I think you can be promoted to the Marquis Mansion. I will report these merits to my superiors. Mr. Lin Kei, just go back and wait for the good news." The expression of the old man from the Grand Council eased up a lot, and he revealed a smile. "Thank you, Senior." Lin Kei cupped his fists and said, "Senior, I have a friend here who has also accumulated a large amount of military merits. Please check him." Having said that, he looked at Lu Ming, placing particular emphasis on the word large. He couldn't wait to see Lu Ming put on a good show. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward. With a wave of his hand, a total of 12 breathing shadow stones flew out. "It's just for show. Do you think it's useful just because you have a lot of rest shadow stones?" Lin Kei mocked in disdain. Lu Ming's expression was very calm as he said, "Senior, please check." "All right." The old man nodded his head and took out another 6 array discs, making a total of 12. He placed Lu Ming's breathing shadow stones on them, and 12 images immediately appeared. As soon as the images appeared, they shone brightly. It was the scene of a planet exploding, followed by a terrifying battle. This battle was the first battle that Lu Ming had fought with Yuan Song, and the rest after returning. They had annihilated a hidden barbarian tribe army, and the commander of the army was a 5th-level Divine Lord. In the images, huge apes could be seen moving across the starry sky. They were extremely terrifying, and with a punch, a large number of barbarians were killed. It was as if the barbarians were made of paper. The dark ape-fighting tribe's barbarians were crushed by the barbarians in a single strike. Regardless of whether it was a divine king or a divine lord, they were all killed in one blow. Especially Yuan Song, who was extremely overbearing. With a punch, a planet exploded, and a large number of barbarians died tragically. In the end, even the commander of the barbarians, a 5th-level Divine Lord, was killed by Yuan Song's punch. Silence. In the great hall, it fell into a death-like silence. Everyone's eyeballs were about to pop out, staring fixedly at the images in the air, completely unable to shift their gazes. My God, what did I see? A fourth-level Divine Lord existence was blown up with a punch. Not just a fourth-level Divine Lord, even a fifth-level Divine Lord was blown up with a punch. That monkey, no, that senior ape Divine Lord blew up a planet with a punch, blowing up a fifth-level Divine Lord barbarian. What kind of strength is this? Seventh-level Divine Lord. It's definitely a seventh-level Divine Lord. There's no mistake. This old man was once fortunate enough to see a seventh-level Divine Lord martial take action. What? Seventh-level Divine Lord? After the silence, it was a hubbub. The great hall fell into a clamor. Lin Kei was completely stunned, his eyes wide open, and his mouth wide open until it could swallow a goose egg. Following that, his body started trembling, and his eyes were bloodshot. Impossible, this is impossible. Lin Kei muttered to himself, finding it hard to believe. A Lu Ming, a student who just joined the Great Void Imperial family's Sacred Academy this year. How could he possibly have such powerful subordinates? But very soon, the scene in the air changed again, becoming another great battle. This great battle similarly ended in a crushing manner. It was no different from the first battle. The ape similarly displayed unparalleled tyrannical combat power, easily killing the other party's commander. The scene in the air continuously changed, while inside the great hall, it recovered silence once more. There was not the slightest bit of sound, everyone was watching seriously. The scene changed continuously, displaying the scenes of 10 battles from front to back. All of them were resolved in a crushing manner. My God, a total of 6 fifth-level Divine Lord existences were killed. There are 18 fourth-level Divine Lords. Horrifying, too horrifying. What kind of contribution is this? The barbarians' losses are heavy. This kind of contribution can directly be conferred as marquee, right? Many people roared loudly, seriously too shocked. Good, good, good. That old man from the military council had incomparably bright eyes. At the same time, he was also incomparably shocked in his heart. This kind of battle achievement was simply even greater than a certain army. For example, the barbarian exterminating 8th Army and the like. Each time they came to submit their contributions, the number of enemies killed would not be this many. It was even a lot less. The contributions that Lu Ming accumulated were simply terrifying. It's fake, everything is fake. At this time Lin Kei roared loudly. He stared at Lu Ming with reddened eyes and roared loudly. Lu Ming, how dare you? To actually dare tamper with the rest reflection stone. Those scenes earlier must be fake. That old man from the military council frowned slightly. He already checked earlier. The rest reflection stone was absolutely not tampered with. Those were all real. This old man has checked. Those are all real. The old man from the military council opened his mouth. Impossible, senior. You must have been deceived by him. It must be fake, it can't be real. Lin Kei roared loudly. Chapter 3481. Lin Kei was completely filled with jealousy. How could he think of anything else? He firmly believed that Lu Ming's rest reflection stone was fake. He's just a new student of the Great Void Imperial Academy. How could there be so many experts behind him? Moreover, they are all 7th-level Divine Lord experts. Even if he faked it, he didn't make it more realistic. A 7th-level Divine Lord is an overlord. Why would they submit to him? Who does he think he is? Lin Kei continued to roar. Many people's eyes flickered, feeling that what Lin Kei said made sense. What kind of person was a 7th-level Divine Lord? That was someone who could become a heavenly king. If he joined the army, he would be a legion commander of a certain army. How could such a person submit to a young man? Moreover, a young man who had just joined the Great Void Imperial Academy? Was this possible? Lu Ming, you're audacious. You even dare to fake your military achievements. I suspect that your promotion to the general's residence was also fake. Despicable and shameless. How can someone like you be worthy of being called a genius? What a joke, what a joke. Lin Kei continued to roar. He was certain that Lu Ming was faking it. If what Lu Ming said was true, then what he said previously was a slap to his own face. It was a slap to his face. You think it's fake just because you say so? I'll say that you're faking it. Lu Ming curled his lips in disdain. I faked it? Ha ha ha, this is ridiculous. Let the truth speak for itself. Let's see if the abilities of my subordinates are the same as what is shown on the resting shadow stone. Show it to him. Lu Ming, open your eyes wide and take a good look. After saying that, Lin Ke gave his subordinates a look. Boom. Boom. Suddenly, a terrifying aura burst out, and a horrifying pressure filled the hall. Lin Ke brought 8 subordinates and released their auras completely. 1 4th-level Divine Lord, 3 3rd-level Divine Lords, and 4 2nd-level Divine Lords. There's no mistake. It's the same as on the Rest Reflection Stone. It's indeed the same. Lin Ke is really amazing. He actually has so many powerful subordinates. This is normal. Lin Ke's talent is amazing. He reached the 9th-level Divine King realm at a young age. His future is limitless. Naturally, many experts will submit to him in advance so that they can be put in an important position in the future. Many people nodded and discussed. Do you see that? This is genuine strength. If you have the ability, then let those monkeys behind you show their strength. Do you dare? Lin Ke stared at Lu Ming and said. Since you must see it, then let's see it. Lu Ming said indifferently and waved his hand slightly. This time, Lu Ming brought a total of 6 Dark Ape Battle Tribe members with him. With a wave of Lu Ming's hand, 3 Dark Ape Fighting Tribe members immediately stepped forward. As they stepped forward, a terrifying aura erupted from their bodies like a volcanic eruption. Lin Ke and his men's faces changed drastically when they were hit by this aura. They couldn't help but retreat. 5th-level Divine Lord. These 3 Dark Ape Battle Clan members were all 5th-level Divine Lords. Damn it, how is this possible? Lin Ke roared in his heart, his eyeballs almost popping out. But in the next moment, 2 more auras rose. 2 more Dark Ape Battle Tribe members revealed their auras. These 2 auras were even more terrifying. Each of them was like a dominator that suppressed all directions, causing the entire hall to tremble slightly. Many people had difficulty breathing, and almost vomited blood from the pressure. 6th-level Divine Lords. These 2 Dark Ape Battle Tribe members were 6th-level Divine Lords. Blind little bastard, look carefully. At this time, the Dark Ape Battle Tribe member spoke coldly. Then a violent aura erupted. When this aura appeared, the Grand Council's hall shook violently. Many people's faces turned pale as if a huge planet was pressing on them. Some people with weaker cultivation almost knelt down. Oh my God, it's really a 7th-level Divine Lord. There's no mistake. 7th-level Divine Lord. Everything on the resting shadow stone is real. This is too heaven-defying. Lu Ming actually has such terrifying subordinates. Incomparably shocked voices rang out. As for Lin Ke, his face was even paler and his eyes were filled with disbelief. No, how is this possible? How is this possible? Lin Ke muttered to himself, unable to accept this fact. Now have you seen it clearly? Lu Ming looked at Lin Ke indifferently. Huff huff. Lin Ke desperately took in breaths to calm himself down. After a few breaths, Lin Ke regained his composure. After all, he was a prodigy of a generation. His wisdom was outstanding and he quickly adjusted. Then he cupped his fists at the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members and said respectfully, Seniors, I was blind just now and did not recognize Mount Tai. Now I apologize here. Humph. The Dark Ape Battle Tribe member snorted coldly and ignored him. Everyone thought that Lin Ke was afraid, which was why he apologized. Unexpectedly, he changed his tone and said, Now, I sincerely invite all of you to join me. I will not treat you unfairly. What? Many people were stunned, including Lu Ming himself. He's trying to poach them, and he's doing it so openly. Previously, he mocked the Dark Ape Battle Tribe members, and now he's trying to poach them again. Lu Ming was impressed by Lin Ke's shamelessness. As the saying goes, a fine bird breaks a tree to perch. Powerhouses with abilities like yours don't have to suffer under Lu Ming. Why don't you join a genius with a brighter future? That's a good plan. Seniors, what do you think? Lin Ke continued to speak with a proud expression. Hee hee. Lu Ming laughed in disdain. Did I say something wrong? Lin Kei's gaze was like lightning as he stared at Lu Ming and said, "Only a stronger prodigy with better talent can go further and stand at the peak with a better future. Only by joining a better prodigy can you have a better future. Am I wrong?" Lin Kei asked continuously. "Do you mean that you're a stronger prodigy with better talent?" Lu Ming said. "Lu Ming, I know that you're ranked third in this batch of Great Void Imperial Academy, and I'm ranked third in the previous batch of Great Void Imperial Academy. However, you have to realize that not every batch of Great Void Imperial Academy prodigies are born as a peerless prodigy. Some batches can be called the Golden Generation, while some batches can be called the Rotten Generation. Even if you're ranked first in a bad batch, you probably won't even make it into the top 10 in a good batch. Even if you're ranked the same in different batches, your talent may be worlds apart. Although you and I are both ranked third, our talents are worlds apart. Do you understand?" Lin Kei said loudly. Obviously, he was very confident. He felt that his cohort was the Golden Generation and was much more powerful than Lu Ming's. Even if they were both ranked third, he was far above Lu Ming. Hee, only 3 of the 9 general stars made it, and you still have the cheek to brag." Lu Ming smiled disdainfully. "What did you say?" Lin Kei said coldly. Then a violent aura burst out. It was the aura of a peak divine king, suppressing Lu Ming. Chapter 3482. Lin Kei's aura pressed down on Lu Ming, but to Lu Ming, it was like a spring breeze. Boom. Lin Kei's aura grew stronger and stronger, and his body exuded an ancient aura. Third awakening of origin divine power factor. Lu Ming's lips curled into a disdainful smile. "Lu Ming, I challenge you now. Do you dare to fight me?" Lin Kei shouted. "Not interested." Lu Ming said indifferently. He was really not interested. Although Lin Kei's cultivation had reached the peak of the Supreme God realm, his origin divine power factor had only awakened 3 times. Such strength was common in the primitive divine spirit world. To Lu Ming, he was not interested in it at all. He then turned to the elder in the Grand Council and asked, "Senior, is the inspection done?" "Yes, I will report it. With your contribution, you can be promoted to the Marquis Mansion. Go back and wait for the news," the elder in the Grand Council said. "Okay, goodbye." Lu Ming cupped his fists and turned to leave with Yuan Song and the others. "Stop right there, you bastard. Didn't you hear what I said?" In a flash, Lin Kei appeared in front of Lu Ming and said in a low voice. The strength of Yuan Song and the others made him very excited. Moreover, since Yuan Song and the others were willing to side with Lu Ming, it meant that they could also side with others. Today, he wanted to trample on Lu Ming and let Yuan Song and the others see what a real genius was. Then he would take them under his wing. With a subordinate like Yuan Song, it would not be impossible for him to be promoted to the Heavenly King Mansion. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Although he was not interested in accepting Lin Kei's challenge, he did not mind giving him a beating since Lin Kei kept provoking him. "Make your move," Lu Ming said indifferently. "Kill." As soon as the words left Lu Ming's mouth, Lin Kei attacked. As soon as he attacked, he used his essence secret magic. A bronze pagoda rapidly expanded in size as it shot toward Lu Ming. Lin Kei used his full strength. He wanted to beat Lu Ming down in one move and suppress Lu Ming. The bronze pagoda quickly approached Lu Ming's head. Why isn't Lu Ming fighting back? It's obvious that Lin Kei is too strong. His powerful strength has already locked onto Lu Ming, making it difficult for him to move. The outcome has been decided. Lu Ming is still too young. Lin Kei is from the previous batch of students of the Great Void Imperial Academy. Thoughts flashed through many people's minds, thinking that the outcome had already been decided. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. It was a very simple punch. With this punch, Lu Ming activated the battle character art and quadrupled his battle prowess. He also used the heavenly demon golden body, and the 12 types of god force in his body surged madly. Boom. In the next moment, Lu Ming's fist landed on the bronze pagoda. How dare you use your fist to attack my essence secret magic? You overestimate yourself. Break. Lin Kei roared in his heart. A ferocious light flashed in his eyes. He wanted to shatter Lu Ming's fist in one move. However, in the next moment his expression changed drastically. When Lu Ming's fist landed on the bronze pagoda, he felt an extremely terrifying force erupt. The bronze pagoda shook violently and then exploded with a bang. Ah! Lin Ke screamed as his body flew backward. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood in the air. However, Lu Ming did not stop there. With a flash, he appeared above Lin Ke and stomped down on Lin Ke's face. With a bang, Lin Ke fell to the ground like a dead fish. Lu Ming stepped on his face with an indifferent expression. The main hall was silent. Everyone watched in a daze. Their eyes were wide open and their faces were filled with disbelief. Lin Ke was defeated, and he was defeated in an instant. He was defeated in one move. How was this possible? It was like a dream. Ah! Under Lu Ming's foot, Lin Ke was like a dead dog, roaring and struggling frantically. Miserable. It was too miserable. Just a moment ago, he was arrogant and insufferably arrogant. He thought that he was a genius and the representative of the golden generation. Even Lu Ming, who was ranked third, could not compare to him. He was extremely confident. However, reality was like a slap to his face. He was defeated in an instant by Lu Ming. He was a student of the previous batch of the Great Void Imperial Academy and ranked third. He was also one of the 9 generals. However, he was defeated in an instant by Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not even use his essence secret magic. No, he did not believe that this was real. He would rather believe that this was a nightmare. Unfortunately, the feeling of the soles of the shoes rubbing against his face told him that this was real. This was reality. You said so much nonsense just now, but you're right about one thing. Even if the rankings are the same, the talents of different batches will be worlds apart. Indeed, you're right. Lu Ming said indifferently. Wasn't that so? Compared to Lu Ming, Lin Ke was worlds apart. Blood spurted out of Lin Ke's mouth because of anger. This. Lin Ke's subordinates were all stunned. In their eyes, Lin Ke was already a peerless genius with a limitless future. In the future, he would definitely become a top figure in the Taishu dynasty. They had followed Lin Ke for a long time, and would definitely be in a high position in the future. But now, compared to Lu Ming, Lin Ke was nothing. He was trash. The difference was too great. It was a complete contrast. Lin Ke had cultivated for so many years more than Lu Ming, but he was still defeated in an instant by Lu Ming. There was no comparison. Lin Ke's 7 subordinates looked at each other, and then nodded silently. Suddenly, they rushed out and bowed to Lu Ming. Lu Ming's talent is unparalleled. The few of us would like to submit to young Master Lu Ming, and serve young Master Lu Ming. We hope that young Master Lu Ming can fulfill our wish. What? This dramatic scene stunned everyone at the scene. You. Lin Ke roared as if he had gone crazy. Then he vomited another mouthful of blood. Lin Ke had said before that a good bird would break a tree to perch. That was indeed the case. Now his subordinates had all submitted to Lu Ming. Seeing that you guys are quite sincere, I'll agree. Lu Ming nodded. The 7 of them were not weak. They were all second-level divine lords and above. In the Taishu dynasty, they would definitely be considered experts. There was no reason for him not to accept them. Although he had the Dark Ape fighting tribe, the more experts he had, the better. Alright, follow me to the place where I live, Lu Ming said casually. Then he strode out and ignored Lin Quebec. Soon, Lu Ming and the rest disappeared. Only Lin Ke was left lying on the ground alone. Lu Ming, I'll make sure you die a horrible death. Ah! Lin Ke roared in his heart. Today he was really miserable. Not only had he been slapped in the face repeatedly, but he had also lost his subordinates. This news would soon spread throughout the Taishu holy capital, and he would become a laughingstock. It would not be long before he could no longer be one of the 9 generals. His hatred for Lu Ming was overwhelming. Chapter 3483. Lu Ming and the others returned to their residence and waited. However, they did not have to wait for long. 3 days later, a piece of news came from the Grand Council. Lu Ming was conferred the title of Hidden Dragon Marquis. His clan residence was also upgraded to Marquis residence, and he was also given a Marquis residence. This caused a huge commotion in the holy capital. Lu Ming had become a Marquis. This could be said to be the youngest Marquis in history. Lin Ke was also conferred the title of Marquis, but it did not cause any commotion. Instead, it was treated as a joke. This mansion is quite big, isn't it? Lu Ming stood in front of a residence and smiled. There were 5 words written on the residence: Hidden Dragon Marquis Residence. In the Taishu dynasty, anyone who became a marquis or a heavenly lord would be given a residence in the holy capital by the imperial family. This was the residence given to Lu Ming by the imperial family. It was very spacious and took up an astonishing amount of space. There were layers upon layers of buildings, and one could not see the end of it. It could even house an army. Lu Ming walked around the residence and was very satisfied. Then he brought his people and stayed there. At the same time, he hired a group of people to take care of the marquis residence. Lu Ming had become a marquis, and the news of Lu Ming and Lin Ke's battle quickly spread throughout the holy capital. It pushed Lu Ming's reputation to the top. The youngest marquis and Lin Ke was defeated in seconds. This was too shocking. Lu Ming was a new batch of students, and he could defeat Lin Ke in seconds. Although Lin Ke was the last of the 9 general stars, it was enough to prove that Lu Ming was qualified to be one of the 9 general stars. Such a young general star was amazing. But soon, the rumors about Lu Ming died down. This was because an even bigger event was about to happen in the Taishu dynasty. It was the birthday of the Holy Emperor, which was 10 stellar years. At the Divine Lord realm, one could only live for 10 stellar years at most, and this was only in theory. In fact, many Divine Lords would perish from the exhaustion of their souls before even reaching 10 stellar years. It was already extremely rare for the current Sacred Emperor to live for 10 stellar years. Therefore, this birthday celebration would be extremely grand. At that time, apart from the generals guarding the borders of the Taishu dynasty, almost all of the big and small powers would be there. All the heavenly kings, marquises, and generals would gather at the Great Void Sage capital to celebrate the Sage Emperor. Lu Ming originally wanted to return to the Hidden Dragon Star, but after hearing this news, he decided not to go back for the time being. This was because there were only 5 years left until the Sacred Emperor's birthday. During this period of time, the number of people in the holy capital had gradually increased. Many people from various forces had already arrived in advance. If he went back, he would have to make a trip back here. Therefore, Lu Ming decided to stay here for the time being and return to the Hidden Dragon Star after the Saint Emperor's birthday celebration. Anyway, 5 years was just a blink of an eye to them. The entire holy capital was discussing the Sacred Emperor's birthday celebration. In addition, they were discussing another matter, which was who would inherit the throne in the future. The Sacred Emperor's lifespan had already reached 10 stellar years. If he did not break through, this lifespan was almost the limit. He would not be able to live for long before he died. However, breaking through was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. One had to know that the Sacred Emperor's cultivation had already reached the limit of a Divine Lord. However, it was extremely difficult to advance any further. In the history of the Taishu dynasty, no one had achieved this. Therefore, the probability of this happening was extremely small. Once the Sage Emperor perished, who would inherit the position of Sage Emperor? The Crown Prince? Or the Second Prince? The Crown Prince was undoubtedly the legitimate successor. However, the Second Prince was very outstanding in all aspects. He was vaguely above the Crown Prince and had many supporters. Therefore, the final result was unpredictable. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been in the Great Void Sage capital for half a year. One day, a person that Lu Ming did not expect came to the holy capital and looked for Lu Ming. "Shenhuang, why are you here?" Lu Ming was surprised and then overjoyed. Lu Shenhuang had come. Lu Ming had not seen Lu Shenhuang in a long time. After so many years, Lu Shenhuang's temperament had become even more restrained. Lu Shenhuang had been accompanying Lu Ming's parents and his wife all these years. He had not gone out to fight, nor had he had any fortuitous encounters. However, with the help of some resources that Lu Ming had given him, his cultivation had improved very quickly. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that Lu Shenhuang's cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level of the True God realm. Lu Shenhuang had also cultivated the universe myriad Tao art, and could control many kinds of divine power. Without any fortuitous encounters, It was already very good for him to have such a cultivation. Father, I'm here to see grandfather and grandmother. Back then, you sent people to take them away, but there was no reply after so many years. I was a little worried, so I came to see them. Lu Shenhuang said. What? I took father and mother away? Hearing this, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and his expression changed drastically. He had not sent anyone to take Lu Yuntian and Li Ping away. How could Lu Shenhuang say that he had sent people to take them away? Seeing Lu Ming's expression, Lu Shenhuang felt that something was wrong and hurriedly asked, Father, did you not send people to take grandfather and grandmother away? No. Lu Ming's heart sank and his expression turned ugly. Shenhuang, what's going on? When did this happen? Tell me in detail. Lu Shenhuang also knew the severity of the situation and hurriedly explained in detail. About 100 years ago, a young woman came to find us and said that she was father's friend. Father had already settled down in the Taishu dynasty and wanted to take grandfather and grandmother over. Lu Shenhuang said. How can you so easily believe a stranger's words? Lu Ming said somewhat anxiously. That woman said that she was father's friend and that they had a good relationship. She even took out a rest image stone with images of father and Auntie Autumn Moon together. Only then did we believe her. Lu Shenhuang said. What? She had images of us together? Lu Ming's expression darkened. That meant that she must be someone that Lu Ming knew. What's her name? Lu Ming asked. She said she was Cui Wei. Lu Shenhuang said. Cui Wei, it's her. Lu Ming's eyes emitted shocking murderous intent. He had never thought that this person would be Cui Wei. When he and Auntie Autumn Moon had just entered the Taishu Imperial Sacred Courtyard, Cui Wei had approached him and made friends with him. Later, Lu Ming had fought in the Third King God Realm area of the Purgatory Arena and had been hunted down by experts. At that time, Lu Ming had suspected Cui Wei. He suspected that Cui Wei had approached him on purpose and leaked information about him. Since then, Cui Wei had less contact with him. He had never thought that she would deceive his parents. Now that he thought about it, Cui Wei had approached them with malicious intentions. She had secretly recorded the images of them together with the rest image stone. Damn it! Shenhuang, draw a portrait of that woman for me to see. Lu Ming ordered. All right. Lu Shenhuang nodded. At their level, they had a photographic memory. It was easy for them to spend an hour on a painting. If they were in the secular world, they would be top-notch painters. Chapter 3484. Not long after, the portrait of a woman appeared on the paper. This woman was Cui Wei, whom Lu Ming knew. Damn it! Lu Ming growled. Father, do you know this woman? Lu Shenhuang asked. I do, but this person is very likely my enemy. Lu Ming said gloomily. What? Not good. Lu Shenhuang's expression changed. With her cultivation, it would be easy for her to kill you. But she didn't kill you and only tricked father and mother away. It's obvious that she wants to use father and mother to threaten me. Thus, father and mother's safety shouldn't be a problem. Lu Ming muttered as he quickly analyzed the situation in his mind. Since the other party could find Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, and had amazing strength, it would be too easy for her to kill them. However, she only tricked Lu Yuntian and Li Ping away. It was obvious that the other party wanted to control Lu Yuntian and Li Ping, so that they could be used to threaten Lu Ming at a critical moment. Who is it? The Crown Prince or the State Preceptor? Or some other force? Lu Ming's mind raced, but he couldn't find any clues at the moment. Cui Wei, I'm going to find out who you are. Lu Ming growled. Soon Lu Ming began to investigate. He used all the forces at his disposal to investigate Cui Wei's background. But the result was a blank. In the end, he only found out that Cui Wei had been very close to a young man in the Great Void Imperial Academy, and that young man belonged to the State Preceptor's residence. State Preceptor. Lu Ming's eyes burst with shocking killing intent. Boom. Lu Ming soared into the sky, his violent aura filling the air. His cold killing intent was like a tide. No one could touch his family or his parents. Otherwise, no matter who it was, he would make them pay the price, even if it was the State Preceptor. Lu Ming, don't be rash. Blue Merchant's figure appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking Lu Ming's path. I'm going to the state preceptor's residence. Lu Ming said word by word. Lu Ming, don't be fooled. This is what the other party wants. You barged into the imperial advisor's residence without any evidence. The other party can treat you as a traitor and kill you directly. This is what the imperial advisor wants. Blue Merchant hurriedly said. Each of Blue Merchant's words contained the power of his soul. They bombarded Lu Ming's soul, causing Lu Ming's soul to tremble. Slowly Lu Ming calmed down. He knew that what Blue Merchant said made sense. If it was the state preceptor, then the other party would just wait for Lu Ming to kill his way to the door. The other party was an important figure of the Taishu dynasty. If someone were to kill his way to the door, he could be treated as a traitor and killed on the spot. Lu Ming would definitely be killed by the imperial preceptor if he went there. There was no doubt about it. Lan Shu, what should we do now? Lu Ming took a deep breath. He was a little flustered now. Go find the sage emperor and let him uphold justice. But before that, you have to go find Holy Old Heavenly King. It'll be difficult for you to meet the sage emperor. Blue Merchant said. Okay, but I don't know where Holy Old Heavenly King is. Lu Ming said. The sage emperor's birthday is approaching. Holy Old Heavenly King has already arrived. He's in my small courtyard. Let's go together. Blue Merchant said. Without the slightest delay, not long after, they arrived at Lan Shang's small courtyard and met with Old Heavenly King Thousand Saints. Holy Old Heavenly King agreed without hesitation when he heard this. He led Lu Ming to the Sage Emperor's palace. Blue Merchant did not go. His identity was sensitive, and it was inconvenient for him to meet the Sage Emperor. Holy Old Heavenly King had an extremely high status in the Taishu dynasty. In terms of cultivation, he was at the pinnacle of the Taishu dynasty. Naturally, he was unimpeded. With Holy Old Heavenly King's appearance, the Sage Emperor quickly agreed to meet Lu Ming. The Sage Emperor sat high up in the meeting hall of the Sage Emperor's palace. After not seeing him for a while, the Sage Emperor seemed to have aged a little. He looked a little lethargic. After all, the Sage Emperor was too old. It was rare for him to be able to live until now. Brother Holy Old Heavenly King, why are you looking for me? The Sage Emperor asked with a smile. Although Holy Old Heavenly King was very senior and old, he was still younger than the Sage Emperor. However, they were of the same generation. So the Sage Emperor addressed Holy Old Heavenly King as Old Heavenly King. Sage Emperor, I'm here for Lu Ming. Lu Ming is looking for you. Holy Old Heavenly King said. Lu Ming? Why are you looking for this Sage Emperor? The Sage Emperor looked at Lu Ming. The Sage Emperor remembered Lu Ming. Lu Ming's performance at the Taishu Imperial Academy was stunning. At the same time, he asked him to save the Blue Merchant. Thus he remembered Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming was the youngest marquis of the Taishu dynasty. He had also approved of Lu Ming. How could he not know him? Sage Emperor, I want to sue the state preceptor. He sent people to kidnap my parents. I don't know where they are now. Sage Emperor, please ask the state preceptor to release my parents. Lu Ming reported. What? There's such a thing? The Sage Emperor frowned. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and a terrifying pressure immediately spread out in the hall. Amazing! Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. At this moment, the Saint Emperor did not seem like an old man, but a ferocious beast that could destroy the world. But this energy only lasted for a moment, and the Sage Emperor returned to his old appearance. Come, summon the state preceptor. Yes. Someone outside the hall immediately obeyed. Not long after, a guard came in and reported, Your Majesty, the Crown Prince and Second Prince request an audience. The two of them are quite well informed. Let them in. The Sage Emperor said. A while later, the Crown Prince and Second Prince entered the hall. After bowing to the Sage Emperor, they stood on either side. The Crown Prince swept his gaze over Lu Ming. There was a cold glint in his eyes. A while later, the state preceptor arrived. Paying respects to Your Majesty. For what reason has Your Majesty summoned me? The state preceptor bowed. State preceptor, Lu Ming said that you imprisoned his parents. Is this true? The Sage Emperor asked. What? Imprisoned his parents? Your Majesty, there is no such thing. This is slander. The state preceptor hurriedly protested. Slander? Wu Hua, you know very well whether this is slander or not. Let me ask you, is Cui Wei a member of the state preceptor's residence? Lu Ming said loudly. Wu Hua was the state preceptor's name. Cui Wei. What Cui Wei? I don't know her at all. Lu Ming, speak clearly. Otherwise, I won't let you off. The state preceptor's face was extremely gloomy. That's right. Lu Ming, make things clear. The sage emperor said. Afterward, Lu Ming recounted the ins and outs of the matter in detail. Ha ha ha, what a joke. Just because of a girl, you say that I captured your parents. What a joke. Also, I don't know that girl called Cui Wei. The state preceptor laughed. Wu Hua, you suspected that I killed your son and wanted to kill me, but you didn't. You held a grudge and wanted to use my parents to threaten me. Is that right? Lu Ming said loudly. Impudent. You are slandering me. Your Majesty, please uphold justice. The state preceptor said to the sage emperor. Summon Wu Han. We will know once we ask him. The sage emperor said. Wu Han was the young man that Lu Ming found to be close to the state preceptor's residence. Chapter 3485. Soon a young man was brought in. This young man was Wu Han. When he came here and saw so many big shots, he was scared witless. When he heard the reason why he was summoned, he was so scared that his face turned pale. He knelt on the ground and cried, Your Majesty, I've been wronged. I haven't known Cui Wei for long. We didn't know each other before. More than 100 years ago, Cui Wei deliberately approached me, so we got to know each other. And in the last 100 years, Cui Wei disappeared. I can't find her. If Your Majesty doesn't believe me, you can search my soul. If you want to search my soul, please search my soul. Your Majesty, everything is clear now. Cui Wei approached Wu Han on purpose to frame the imperial advisor's residence. I even suspect that there was no such thing. It was all planned by Lu Ming. He probably wants to frame me. Your Majesty, please uphold justice. The imperial advisor immediately said loudly. Damn it. Lu Ming cursed in his heart. He didn't expect this result. Cui Wei hadn't known Wu Han for long. Obviously, Cui Wei wasn't from the imperial advisor's residence. It seemed like someone wanted to frame the imperial advisor's residence. Who was it? With all the clues gone, Lu Ming's face turned ugly. His heart was in a mess. Your Majesty, Lu Ming is slandering you. He can simply find a reason to slander the state preceptor. If everyone imitates him, the world will be in chaos. Your Majesty, please punish Lu Ming and imprison him for a stellar year as a warning to others. The imperial advisor immediately seized the opportunity to counter Lu Ming. Father, the imperial advisor is right. The imperial advisor is an important official of the sacred dynasty. How can he be slandered so easily? Moreover, he deliberately came to you to do so. Such a person must not be tolerated. Father, please punish him. The crown prince also stepped out. No, Your Majesty. Lu Ming's parents are indeed missing and imprisoned. He only did this because he wanted to save his parents. He didn't commit any major crime. Please forgive him, Your Majesty. Thousand Saint Old Heavenly King immediately said. Yes, Father. Lu Ming is still young. With his parents imprisoned, it's inevitable that he would be in a mess. Please give him a chance. The second prince also stepped out. Your Majesty, we don't know whether his parents are imprisoned or not. However, we can't forgive him for slandering the imperial advisor. Otherwise, how can we deter the world in the future? Everyone will follow suit. What prestige will the imperial family have? The crown prince immediately. Lu Ming, on the other hand, remained silent. The sage emperor frowned. Indeed, slandering the state preceptor was a serious matter. Furthermore, the other party had even dared to come to him to do so. Your Majesty, Your Majesty. The imperial advisor's imperial advisor. What? The emperor asked. It will be the Saint Emperor's birthday in less than 5 years. At that time, it will also be the date of the agreement between the Saint Emperor and Saint Emperor Tianyi. Both parties will send out their most powerful geniuses, and the outcome will be determined in one battle. As long as Your Majesty wins, You will be able to obtain the soul-nourishing flower from Saint Emperor Tianyi and extend your Majesty's lifespan. I suggest that Lu Ming participate in this battle. If he can help your Majesty win and obtain the soul-nourishing flower, he can make up for his mistakes and be pardoned for his crimes this time. Good, this is wonderful. The Emperor nodded repeatedly. Your Majesty, you can't do that. Lu Ming's cultivation is still weak. He hasn't cultivated for long. How can he defeat those strongest geniuses? Letting Lu Ming participate in the battle is sending him to his death. Wu Fan has ulterior motives. Thousand Holy King immediately shouted. The barbarian tribe was to the southwest of the Taishu dynasty. To the north of the Taishu dynasty, there was another powerful country called the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. The Tianyi Sacred Dynasty was about as powerful as the Taishu dynasty. The relationship between the two countries was sometimes good and sometimes bad. Sometimes there was war, and sometimes there was cooperation. 1 stellar year ago, the current Imperial Emperor and Tianyi Sacred Emperor had an agreement. On the 10th stellar year of the current Imperial Emperor, the two sides would send their strongest geniuses to fight each other. The loser would give the loser a supreme treasure. If Taishu's Sacred Emperor lost, he would give the loser a Divine Void Pearl. The Divine Void Pearl was unique to the Taishu dynasty. It was extremely helpful for the cultivation of the Divine Lord Realm. It was a supreme treasure. And if Tianyi's Sacred Emperor lost, he would give Taishu's Sacred Emperor a soul-nourishing flower. Similarly, the soul-nourishing flower was also a supreme treasure. As the name suggested, it could nourish the soul, allowing the withered soul to be filled with vitality again. It was a supreme treasure for those who were about to die. It could increase their lifespan. For Taishu's Sacred Emperor, he had used all kinds of treasures that could increase his lifespan. Those treasures were no longer effective for him. However, the soul-nourishing flower was still effective for him. It could at least increase his lifespan by half a stellar year. Half a stellar year was 5 billion years. With such a long time, he might really be able to find a way to break through to a new realm and increase his lifespan. Therefore, Taishu's Sacred Emperor was determined to get the soul-nourishing flower. However, this battle was a battle between the strongest geniuses from both sides, such as the 9 great generals. After all, Lu Ming had only cultivated for a short time. How could he fight against such geniuses? Although Lu Ming had defeated Lin Ke was ranked last among the 9 great generals. Moreover, Holy Thousand-Old Heavenly King was sure that the Grand Tutor did not have good intentions when he made this suggestion. What's a little danger when serving your Majesty? What I mean is that Lu Ming must play a decisive role in this meeting. He can't just be a bystander. Only then can he be pardoned. Otherwise, he must be severely punished. Grand Tutor said. All right, I agree. At this moment, Lu Ming spoke with a determined expression. Lu Ming. Holy Thousand-Old Heavenly King was stunned and did not say anything else. All right, let's do it then. Sacred Emperor said. Beside him, Grand Tutor and the Crown Prince were overjoyed. Your Majesty, Lu Ming has a request. Lu Ming said again. What request? Taishu's Sacred Emperor asked. Your Majesty, if Lu Ming can obtain the soul-nourishing flower for your Majesty, please do your best to find the culprit who imprisoned my parents. Lu Ming said. He had agreed so readily, because he wanted to use the Taishu's Sacred Emperor's power to investigate his parents' whereabouts. The Taishu's Sacred Emperor's power was not something he could compare to. If the Taishu's Sacred Emperor sent someone to investigate, he believed that there would be results soon. All right, if you can really help me obtain the soul-nourishing flower, I will agree to any conditions. All right, that's all for today. You may all leave. I want to rest. Taishu's Sacred Emperor waved his hand. Then Lu Ming and the others took their leave. After some time, in the Hidden Dragon Duke's residence. Lu Ming, I'm afraid the Grand Tutor doesn't have good intentions when he asked you to participate in the competition. I'm guessing that he will arrange for someone to harm you during the competition. Blue Merchant said with a frown. If they really do harm to me, I'll kill them all. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. I still can't be careless. You should know that Lin Ke is ranked last among the 9 general stars, and is also the weakest. Especially those who are ranked at the top. I heard that some of them have already entered the Divine Lord realm. Once they enter the Divine Lord realm, they will be extremely terrifying, Blue Merchant said. Chapter 3486. Lu Ming nodded. Blue Merchant's meaning was simple. If the Taishu dynasty had such a powerful person, the Tianyi sacred dynasty must have one too. Although Lu Ming could fight against a second-level Divine Lord with his full combat strength, it was only against ordinary second-level Divine Lords. The 9 general stars were all top geniuses. Once they entered the Divine Lord realm, they would be terrifying. Their combat strength could not be measured by common sense. There are still 5 years left. I will improve my strength in these 5 years. Lu Ming's gaze was firm. He would get the soul-nourishing flower for the sacred emperor, and ask the sacred emperor to investigate his parents. No matter who you are, if you hurt my parents, I will make sure you die a horrible death. I will pay you back 10 times, 100 times. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Then, after chatting with Blue Merchant for a while, Lu Ming returned to his room and started to cultivate in seclusion. 5 years was too short. Whether it was the divine power of origin, the battle character formula, or the secret skills of origin, there could not be any major breakthroughs. If he wanted to break through, he could only start with his cultivation. Now his cultivation was in the 8th level of the Divine King realm. He wanted to reach the 9th level of the Divine King realm in 5 years. Normally, it was impossible to reach the 9th level of the Divine King realm from the 8th level of the Divine King realm in 5 years. However, Lu Ming had the measure character formula and countless primordial divine crystals. It was possible. The primordial divine crystals contained a large amount of primordial divine qi. They were very pure and strong. In the past, the primordial divine crystals were absorbed through the ancient god's heart and turned into bloodline power to improve the primordial divine body. Only a small portion was used by Lu Ming to improve his cultivation and turn into divine power. Once it was absorbed and refined by the measure character formula, it could only be turned into energy. It was of no help to the primordial divine body. But now, Lu Ming did not need to improve the primordial divine body. He only needed to improve his cultivation. Therefore, he let the measure character formula absorb it. As Lu Ming's cultivation increased, the measure character formula's refining speed also increased greatly. Moreover, the original divine crystal was easy to absorb. 5 years was enough for Lu Ming to break through to the 9th heaven of the King God realm. Old Liang, I'll leave it to you. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to the quantifying character art. Then with a wave of his hand, 10,000 primeval divine crystals flew out. The energy contained within 10,000 primeval divine crystals was already extremely shocking. Lu Ming estimated that it was enough for him to break through. Leave it to me. The voice of the quantifying character formula was heard. Then, a wave of energy swept up the 10,000 primeval divine crystals and began to refine them. Not long after, a trickle of energy flowed into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming circulated the universe myriad Dao technique and refined it slightly. This energy turned into divine power, strengthening Lu Ming's divine power. Just like that, Lu Ming wholeheartedly cultivated in seclusion. The Crown Prince stood with his hands clasped behind his back in a courtyard of the Crown Prince's mansion. Behind the Crown Prince stood the state preceptor and a young man. If Lu Ming was there, he would definitely recognize that the young man was Di Jianyi at a glance. Di Jianyi, your chance is here. This time, Lu Ming will also participate in the battle between the two countries. Haven't you always wanted to kill Lu Ming? This is your chance. The Crown Prince said. I will not miss this chance. Di Jianyi's eyes shone with cold light. Deep in his eyes, there was a deep desire. Others might not know, but he was very clear that Lu Ming definitely had the origin ancient word on him. He had to get the origin ancient word on Lu Ming. In that case, his strength would be even more shocking. In the future, he would definitely become a top expert in the chaotic universe. The Taishu dynasty was just a stepping stone for him. He had been looking for an opportunity to kill Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was either not around or surrounded by experts. He had never found an opportunity. There was only one time when he found an opportunity. However, Lu Ming's strength was beyond his expectations. He did not succeed and attracted other experts, causing him to miss the opportunity. This time he would not miss the opportunity. Di Jiani, don't be careless. Lu Ming is very strong. Even Lin Ke was defeated by Lu Ming. The state preceptor warned. Lin Ke. How many people like him can I kill with one sword? Di Jiani said indifferently. He was full of confidence. Alright, there are still 5 years. In these 5 years, I will activate all the resources to help you improve further and kill Lu Ming. However, you have to remember that after you kill Lu Ming, you can only lose in the battle with the Tianyi Holy Dynasty. Do you understand? The Crown Prince said indifferently. His voice was very cold and filled with terrifying pressure. Yes. Di Jiani's eyes flashed, and he bowed to accept the order. Only lose, not win. He knew what the Crown Prince was thinking. The Crown Prince had been in this position for too many years. However, as long as the Taishu Saint Emperor was alive, the Crown Prince would not be able to improve further and sit on the throne. He had been waiting for the Taishu Saint Emperor to die. How could he help the Saint Emperor to extend his life? If the Taishu Saint Emperor obtained the soul-nourishing flower and increased his lifespan by half a stellar year, and then broke through his cultivation, the Crown Prince would not be able to sit on the throne for the rest of his life. The person who did not want the Saint Emperor to obtain the soul-nourishing flower the most was the Crown Prince. State Preceptor, this time letting Lu Ming participate in the battle between the two countries is not playing with fire, right? The Crown Prince frowned and was a little worried. If Lu Ming really helped the Taishu dynasty to win, wouldn't they be shooting themselves in the foot? Crown Prince, do you think it's possible? The purpose of letting Lu Ming participate this time is to kill him. Of course, what if, and I mean what if, Lu Ming is really not dead? With his strength, how would it affect the overall situation? Isn't everything under the Crown Prince's control? The state preceptor smiled cunningly. That's right. It seems like I'm overthinking. The Crown Prince smiled. Time flew by. 1 year, 2 years. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had passed. There were 10 more days before the Taishu Saint Emperor's birthday. During this period, the Taishu Saint capital was bustling with activity. 27 heavenly kings' residences, a few hundred marquis residences, and a few thousand generals' residences had all arrived. During this period, there were many experts in the Taishu Saint capital. It was possible to meet anyone on the streets who was a divine lord. Of course, the army guarding the border was also on high alert to prevent the barbarian tribe from taking the opportunity to attack. On this day, a powerful aura emanated from the backyard of the Hidden Dragon Marquis residence. However, this aura was quickly suppressed. Not long after, a figure stepped out. It was Lu Ming. After 5 years, I finally broke through. Luckily, I made it in time. Lu Ming muttered. Just now he had finally broken through to the 9th Heaven Divine King realm, and entered the ranks of the Peak Divine Kings. The next step was to break through to the Divine Lord realm. Of course, it was not that easy to break through to the Divine Lord realm. He still needed to accumulate. Of course, his various divine powers had awakened 4 times. Compared to others, it was much easier to break through to the Divine Lord realm. As long as he accumulated enough divine powers, it would be a matter of time before he became a divine lord. Chapter 3487. There are still 10 days left. Lu Ming muttered. In the next 10 days, Lu Ming did not continue cultivating. Instead, he relaxed and guided Lu Shenhuang in his cultivation. Before Lu Ming went into seclusion, he gave Lu Shenhuang some resources. In the past 5 years, Lu Shenhuang had broken through to the Sky God realm. With the help of Lu Ming's resources, Lu Shenhuang's talent would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. It was the Taishu Sage Emperor's birthday. Boom. Boom. In the sky above the Great Void Holy Capital, loud explosions rang out. Sparks flew in all directions like brilliant fireworks. How extravagant and spectacular. Lu Ming raised his head to look at the sky. He could clearly see that it was a scene of planets exploding in space. Clearly, there were powerful people in the Taishu Holy Dynasty who had captured some useless planets from the depths of space, and then used them as fireworks to create a spectacular scene. exploding planets and using them as fireworks was beyond Lu Ming's imagination. Of course, the atmosphere in the Taishu Sage capital was also ignited. Let's go, Lu Ming said as he led Blue Merchant, Yuan Song, Lu Shenhuang, and the rest into the depths of the Taishu Sage capital. In the depths of the Taishu Sage capital was a huge square. This square could hold tens of billions of people at the same time. It was simply too big. However, even so, it was still crowded. The various major forces formed their own small circles. As a marquis, Lu Ming naturally had his own seat. He led the rest to the seats reserved for the Hidden Dragon Marquis. The Sage Emperor has arrived. A loud shout came from afar. Following which, a large group of figures flew over. The one leading them was the Sage Emperor. Behind him were the Crown Prince, the Second Prince, and some other important members of the royal family. They sat in the highest seats and could overlook the entire square. The Tianyi Sage Emperor has arrived. Another loud shout came from another direction. A group of people came through the air. There were many of them, tens of thousands of them. Some were young, and some were of the older generation. The person in the lead was a middle-aged man with a stocky build. He was burly and exuded a powerful aura of majesty. Although he did not emit any aura, others could not help but feel pressured when they saw him. This was the Sage Emperor of the Tianyi Sage dynasty. The outside world called him the Tianyi Sage Emperor. The Tianyi Sage Emperor was not particularly old. He was about the same age as the Crown Prince of the Taishu dynasty. However, his strength was unfathomable. He was on the same level as the Taishu Sage Emperor. Brother Jing, congratulations on being able to live up to 10 stellar years. I hope to see you in a few years' time. Ha! The Tianyi Saint Emperor laughed heartily. However, he was implying that the Taishu Saint Emperor would not live for long. Only Tianyi Saint Emperor dared to say this. If it were anyone else, they would have been slapped to death. Don't worry, this old man's greatest ability is to survive. Please have a seat. The Great Void Sage Emperor waved his hand. The people of the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty took their seats. Brother Jing, let's cut to the chase. Let the battle between the geniuses of both sides begin now. The Tianyi Sage Emperor was very direct. Since you are in such a hurry to give me the soul-nurturing flower, I shall accept it. Let the battle between the two countries begin. The Sage Emperor announced. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, 9 experts from the Taishu dynasty flew out. They stood in the sky and emitted powerful auras. Runes flew out from each of their hands. These runes gathered in the sky. Finally, the runes covered the sky and forcefully opened a crack in the sky. According to the rules we set in the past, this battle will be divided into 2 rounds. In the first round, the geniuses from both sides will enter a small world that has been set up in advance. They will fight for the promotion tokens inside. There are a total of 16 promotion tokens inside. Only those who obtain the tokens can enter the second round. In the second round, the geniuses from both sides will fight each other until the final victor. Brother Tianyi, you have no objections, right? The Great Void Sacred Emperor explained the rules of the competition to him. If you have no objections, let's begin. The Tianyi Sage Emperor laughed. Suddenly, young men flew out from behind the Tianyi Sage Emperor. There were at least a few thousand of them. They flew toward the crack in the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. You guys go in too. Remember, there are 16 tokens. You must obtain at least 8 of them. The Sage Emperor instructed. Yes. Suddenly, a large group of young men also flew into the sky and flew toward the crack. Di Jianyi Linkei. Lu Ming glanced over and saw 2 familiar faces. Especially when he saw Di Jianyi, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He had already guessed that Di Jianyi wanted to assassinate him. If he had the chance, he would definitely not let Di Jianyi off. He would kill him and obtain the origin source ancient words on him. I'm going to. Lu Ming said to Lanshang, Lu Shenhuang and the rest. He then soared into the sky, flew into the crack, and disappeared. In the next moment, Lu Ming appeared in a forest. As soon as he appeared, before he could look around, a huge python pounced toward Lu Ming. Good timing. Lu Ming smiled. He turned his hand and threw a punch. His fist energy was wild, and it exploded in the void. This giant python, which was equivalent to a 5th-tier king god realm expert, exploded and turned into ashes. Then, a ray of light flew over and entered a jade token on Lu Ming's waist. All the geniuses who participated in the battle would be given such a jade token, as long as they killed the wild beasts in this small world. The souls of the wild beasts would be absorbed by the jade token. This small world was very big, but there were only 16 tokens. How could they find them? If they searched blindly, it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. That was why there were such tokens. As long as they killed enough wild beasts and absorbed enough wild beast souls, the jade token would show them the location of the nearest token. Hence, if they wanted to find the token, they had to kill as many wild beasts as they could. In fact, the first stage was also a selection stage. Only the strongest group of geniuses would be able to obtain a token and enter the next round. If they couldn't even kill the wild beasts at the beginning, they wouldn't be able to enter the next round. After killing the python, Lu Ming flew into the sky and found that he was in a primitive forest where many wild beasts lived. Caw! A sharp cry came from above. Then the wind whistled and a huge eagle swooped down toward Lu Ming. Judging from its aura, it was at least a 6th-layer divine king realm expert. Those who weren't strong enough wouldn't be able to survive here. Of course, a 6th-layer divine king realm expert was nothing to Lu Ming. He threw out a punch and the eagle exploded. A wisp of its soul was absorbed by the jade token. Afterward, Lu Ming dashed into the forest and went on a killing spree. He constantly killed wild beasts. Chapter 3488. The wild beasts that appeared in the forest were not very strong. The strongest one was only in the 6th layer of King God realm. They posed no threat to Lu Ming. Lu Ming killed many wild beasts along the way. A large number of wild beasts were killed by Lu Ming. In a short while, hundreds of wild beasts had been killed. Almost all the wild beasts in the forest had been killed. Lu Ming left the forest and went to other places to look for wild beasts. Just as Lu Ming was focused on killing the wild beasts, 6 figures flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. He is from the Taishu dynasty. Haha, we are in luck. If we kill him, the sacred emperor will reward us. Not bad, not bad. The 6 of them sneered and rushed towards Lu Ming. Obviously, they were the geniuses of the Tianyi Holy Dynasty. If you don't want to die, get lost, Lu Ming said coldly. Among these 6 people, the one with the highest cultivation level was only in the 7th Divine King realm. Perhaps he was considered the top among the younger generation in the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. However, compared with Lu Ming, he was far behind. This guy is really arrogant. I have studied the strongest geniuses of the Taishu dynasty. There is no such person. Brothers, let's kill him. The leader of the group, a young man in a yellow robe, shouted coldly. Then he rushed towards Lu Ming and attacked him violently. The other 5 people also attacked fiercely. These people were undoubtedly geniuses. They were the top geniuses of the younger generation in the Taishu dynasty. Otherwise, they would not have participated in this competition. However, they were unlucky to have met Lu Ming. I have given you a chance, but you did not cherish it. Then, I will send you to hell, Lu Ming said coldly. Then he threw out a punch. Roar, roar, roar. A series of dragon roars resounded through the sky. Following that, 6 9-clawed divine dragons appeared and pounced at the 6 young men. Ever since Lu Ming's primordial divine body had transformed from the primordial divine body to the primordial divine dragon body, and cultivated the primordial divine blood, his divine power and secret arts related to dragons had evolved. For example, Lu Ming's primordial dragon power had become even more powerful. Even the divine dragon aspect technique had undergone a transformation. The 9 dragons that were condensed had an even thicker dragon aura, and an astonishing aura. Each dragon was filled with an ancient and desolate aura. Their battle prowess was much stronger than before. 6 9 dragons lunged at the 6 young men. Not good. As soon as Lu Ming made his move, the expressions of the 6 youths changed greatly. They felt an extraordinary pressure that made their hearts tremble. They wanted to retreat and escape, but it was already too late. Bang bang bung, a series of explosions rang out, and the 6 youths died on the spot. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming kept the 6 storage rings. In a flash, he left the place and continued to hunt wild beasts. Lu Ming's speed in hunting wild beasts was very fast. After a day, Lu Ming's jade pendant shone brightly. This meant that the souls of the wild beasts had been accumulated. Then, the jade pendant shone and a map appeared. On the map, there was a line that extended to the left. At the end of the line, there was a shining light spot. Found it. The promotion token is here. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then in a flash, he flew in that direction according to the map. Lu Ming was still quite a distance away from that location. Along the way, Lu Ming met many people. Some were from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty, and some were from the Taishu Dynasty. It's Lu Ming. He's heading in that direction. Quickly spread the news. Some people communicated secretly. Some people from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty overestimated themselves and wanted to attack Lu Ming. However, they were all killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a full day to reach the end of the map. I hope it's not too late. It hasn't been taken by others. Lu Ming thought to himself as he looked ahead. In front of him, there was a huge mountain that towered into the clouds. According to the map, the promotion token was at the top of this mountain. However, in the sky above the mountain peak, there was a layer of dark clouds. Upon closer inspection, it was clear that it was not a dark cloud, but a type of black insects. They were densely packed, and their numbers were innumerable. It was impossible to tell how many there were. Iron-devouring worm. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. If there were only one or a few of these iron-devouring worms, it would be easy to deal with them. However, when there were many of them, it was not easy to deal with them. They could burrow into the bodies of living creatures and devour their vitality. Roar, 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 roar at the same time. The roars of wild beasts could be heard from the mountain. It was very terrifying. Obviously, there were many powerful wild beasts living in the mountain. Obviously, the Taishu Dynasty and the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty had made arrangements. It would not be easy to get the promotion token. Let's go up the mountain, Lu Ming said in a low voice. He then dashed up the mountain. Relatively speaking, it was easier to go up the mountain. There were so many iron-devouring worms in the sky. It would be more difficult to deal with them. Roar. When Lu Ming rushed into the mountain, a wild beast pounced on Lu Ming with a roar. It brought a gust of wind with it. It was very powerful. Seventh realm of the King God realm. Lu Ming immediately judged that it was a wild beast in the seventh realm of the King God realm. It was stronger than the wild beasts he had encountered before. However, it was nothing to Lu Ming. With a punch, the wild beast exploded. Lu Ming rushed to the top of the mountain. However, along the way, there were many wild beasts. Wild beasts kept pouncing on him. The wild beasts here were all in the seventh realm of the King God realm. Even if a genius was not in the seventh realm of the King God realm, he would be killed if he was surrounded by so many wild beasts. Even a genius would have to be in the eighth realm of the King God realm to break through the encirclement and reach the top. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming constantly waved his fists and the desolate beasts exploded one by one. Very soon Lu Ming killed his way out and rushed to the mountainside. However, Lu Ming stopped when he reached this point. That was because there were fewer wild beasts here. The ground was littered with the corpses of wild beasts. In front of him, there were two groups of people fighting fiercely. Lu Ming recognized one of them. It was Lin Ke, one of the 9 great generals of the Taishu dynasty. Lu Ming looked around and saw the situation clearly. There were two groups of people. One group was from the Taishu dynasty and the other group was from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. The two groups were fighting fiercely. It seems that these people also know the location of the promotion token. Lu Ming frowned. When they saw Lu Ming coming, the two groups stopped and confronted each other. Obviously, they were afraid of a new person. Lu Ming. After seeing Lu Ming, Lin Ke's eyes flashed coldly. He is from the Taishu dynasty. The people from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty frowned and looked pale. Those who could reach this place were not weak. They were all very strong. Now that the Taishu dynasty had a new expert, they were at a disadvantage. Everyone, how about we cooperate? Lin Ke sent a message to the people from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. Chapter 3489. Cooperate. The people of the Tianyi sacred dynasty were all puzzled. Lin Ke had just fought with them, but now he wanted to cooperate with them. Was he trying to trick them? Yes, to tell you the truth, this person is called Lu Ming, and he has a great hatred for me. I must kill him. If you cooperate with me to kill him, I will not compete with you for the promotion token here. I will give it to you. Lin Ke continued. Really? The eyes of the people of the Tianyi sacred dynasty lit up. Of course it's true. I can swear. Lin Ke said. The last time, Lu Ming had humiliated him greatly. During this period of time, he had been ridiculed by countless people. He had been thinking of killing Lu Ming all the time to vent the hatred in his heart. He did not care about the promotion token at all. Okay, we agree. The people of the Tianyi sacred dynasty agreed. For them, this was a great thing. They had no choice but to agree. Otherwise, if Lu Ming and Lin Ke were to join forces, they would be in danger. Now, if they joined forces with Lin Ke, they could kill Lu Ming and get the promotion token. Why not? There was no reason not to agree. Swoosh. Swoosh. Lin Ke and the people of the Tianyi sacred dynasty surrounded Lu Ming. Joining forces? Lin Ke, it seems that you really want to kill me. Lu Ming was so smart that he guessed it at a glance. However, his face was still very calm. With his current combat strength, he was not afraid of anyone in the younger generation. At least for forces like the Taishu dynasty and the Tianyi sacred dynasty. Lu Ming, today is the day you die. Lin Ke's eyes were ferocious. Do you really think that you can kill me with trash like you? Lu Ming said lightly. What did you say? Lu Ming's words made the people of the Tianyi sacred dynasty furious. In Lu Ming's eyes, they were trash? Unforgivable. Boy, are you one of the 9 general stars of the Taishu dynasty? I have studied the 9 general stars. You are not one of them. A young man from the Tianyi sacred dynasty shouted coldly. I'm not one of the 9 great generals. I'm a new batch of students from the Great Void Imperial Academy. You haven't studied me? Lu Ming smiled. A new batch of students from the Great Void Imperial Academy? Ha ha ha, what's there to study about these rookies? They're too inexperienced. How dare a rookie act so arrogant? Lin Ke actually wants to join forces with us? What a joke. I'll kill you with one punch. A young man from the Tianyi sacred dynasty laughed and stepped out. He threw a punch at Lu Ming. Boom. The void shook violently as a terrifying fist imprint blasted towards Lu Ming's head. That young man was very strong. He had reached the 8th heavenly king god realm. Moreover, he was a top genius, second only to the 9 great generals. But in Lu Ming's eyes, it was trash. Seeing that the fist was about to hit Lu Ming's head, Lu Ming still stood there motionless. However, Lu Ming's face was still calm. When the fist was only 10 centimeters away from his head, Lu Ming suddenly moved. He reached out and grabbed the young man's wrist. Then the young man stiffened and could not move. How is this possible? The young man's eyes widened and his face was full of disbelief. His full-strength attack was caught by Lu Ming. Crack. Lu Ming squeezed hard. The young man's arm was twisted and his bones were completely broken. Ah! The young man let out a shrill scream. Let go. At that moment, another young man from the Tianyi sacred dynasty shouted. But Lu Ming was unmoved. Boy, I told you to let go. Didn't you hear me? Are you deaf? The young man shouted again. He stepped out and was about to kill Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming's hand shook and a violent force erupted. The young man in his hand flew out and crashed into a mountain peak. He did not look like he was going to survive. You're courting death. Let's kill him together. The young man from the Tianyi sacred dynasty shouted. Let's attack together. Lin Ke also shouted and led a few people to attack. Those people were Lin Ke's good friends. Naturally, they would help Lin Ke deal with Lu Ming. You're courting death. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. Then, the battle character skill instantly increased his combat strength by 4 times. The divine power in his body surged wildly. Boom. Boom. Lu Ming punched more than a dozen times in a row. More than a dozen terrifying fist forces burst out and pierced through the void. A series of screams and explosions rang out. Then 2 figures retreated wildly. Indeed, there were only 2 figures that frantically retreated, because the others were all blasted apart, directly falling. The remaining two people were Lin Ke and the young man from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty, who had just scolded Lu Ming. The young man from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty was also very strong. He was not weaker than Lin Quebec. Previously he had blocked Lin Quebec. The two of them retreated and crashed into a mountain rock. Blood spurted from their mouths, and they were seriously injured. 5 years ago, when Lu Ming was still in the 8th realm of the Divine King realm, he could easily suppress Lin Ke without using the secret skill of origin. Now that he had broken through to the 9th realm of the Divine King realm, Lin Ke was no match for him. How is this possible? You've broken through again. Lin Ke shouted in shock. 5 years ago, he had been defeated by Lu Ming. He had always thought that he had been careless. Otherwise he would not have lost so badly. This time, there were so many of them and they had joined forces with the people from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. He had thought that they could kill Lu Ming. However, he had never expected that Lu Ming's strength would be even more abnormal. So many people had been defeated by Lu Ming. Horror. At this moment, there was only endless horror in Lin Ke's heart. Lin Ke, you tricked me. The young man from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty shouted and regretted it very much. Lu Ming's strength was too terrifying. It was comparable to the top geniuses of the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. Lin Ke had asked them to besiege Lu Ming. It was simply courting death. I've said that you're courting death, Lu Ming said coldly. Once again he threw out a punch. A fist's strength blasted toward the young man from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty. The young man from the Tianyi Sacred Dynasty shouted in horror and tried his best to escape. However, he was seriously injured. How could he escape? All his escape routes were blocked by Lu Ming's fist strength. As the fist strength fell, the young man screamed and died on the spot. A genius who was not weaker than Lin Ke was killed just like that. On the other side, Lin Ke was so scared that he almost wet himself. Lu Ming, don't kill me. You can't kill me. I'm with the Crown Prince. If you kill me, the Crown Prince will not let you go. You have to know that the Sacred Emperor doesn't have much time left. The Crown Prince will definitely succeed the throne. If you kill me, you will offend the future Sacred Emperor. Lin Ke shouted. He wanted to scare Lu Ming by mentioning the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince? Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly and said, I will kill the Crown Prince sooner or later. What? Lin Ke was stunned. What did Lu Ming say? He wants to kill the Crown Prince? Madman, is he a madman? No, don't. Lin Ke was terrified and wanted to escape. However, Lu Ming caught up and killed Lin Ke with a punch. Chapter 3490. After killing Lin Ke, Lu Ming took their storage rings and headed to the peak of the mountain. Everything went smoothly. Even when a rank 9 Divine King Realm wild beast appeared, it couldn't stop Lu Ming. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the peak of the mountain. However, there was a person at the peak of the mountain. A young man hugged a long sword and stood there quietly. Di Jianyi. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The young man was Di Jianyi. It was obvious that he had arrived earlier than Lu Ming. Behind Di Jianyi, there was a sacrificial altar with a token floating above it. It was obvious that it was a promotion token. Lu Ming, you are finally here. Di Jianyi's eyes shot out 2 rays of resplendent sword light as he stared at Lu Ming. You were waiting for me? Lu Ming asked. That's right. Di Jianyi spoke in a cold voice. The sword aura on his body surged and it was shocking. You want the origin ancient word on me, right? Great, I want the origin ancient word on you too. Lu Ming spoke indifferently. The aura on his body became stronger and stronger, and he was surrounded by rays of divine light. You know that I have the origin ancient word on me? Di Jianyi was stunned and he was surprised. Since you know about me, why wouldn't I know about you? Lu Ming smiled faintly and said, You were the one who tried to assassinate me on the battlefield back then, right? Looks like I thought that I hid it well. I didn't expect you to see through me. However, it doesn't matter. From today onwards, there will be no more Lu Ming in this world. Your origin ancient word will belong to me and help me reach the peak. Di Jianyi's eyes shone brightly. You are very confident. However, you will be disappointed because you can't do it. Lu Ming said. He was also very confident. Even if Di Jianyi didn't look for him today, he would look for Di Jianyi. He had to take revenge for what happened back then. Can't do it? I don't mind telling you that no one in the Taishu dynasty could make me use my full strength. When I tried to assassinate you, I didn't use my full strength either. I came from a small world and have experienced countless battles in my life. Who knows how many geniuses have fallen at my feet? You Lu Ming will not be an exception. Di Jianyi's voice was like a divine sword, sonorous and powerful. His entire body seemed to have transformed into a divine sword, shattering the firmament. That's exactly what I want to say, Lu Ming said. You're also from the small world? This time Di Jianyi was really shocked. Then he laughed out loud. Good. There is a legend that those who can walk out of a small world and rise up quickly are the main characters of a world. They are destined to be extraordinary. Today, I will kill you, the main character of this world, to make myself stronger. Clang. As soon as his voice fell, a dazzling sword light violently slashed toward Lu Ming, as if it wanted to split the sky in half. Boom. At the same time, Lu Ming also moved. He threw out a punch and a dazzling fist force collided with Di Jianyi's sword light. There was an earth-shattering explosion, forming a terrifying force wave that swept out in all directions, causing the ground to be in a mess. Ninth Heaven King God Realm. Lu Ming's eyes moved. This time, he truly felt that Di Jianyi's cultivation had reached Ninth Heaven King God Realm. Di Jianyi was the same as him. He was a new student of the Great Void Imperial family's Saint Academy. He was younger than the 9 great generals. It was unexpected that his cultivation base had reached the 9th Divine King layer. Apparently, Di Jianyi was also very lucky and his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Back when he attacked Lu Ming at the barbarian tribe battlefield, his cultivation was far from 9th Heaven King God Realm. Apparently, he had made great progress over the years. Stop probing. Go all out, Lu Ming said. There was a loud explosion from his body. After a few attempts, he had successfully triggered the battle character incantation to increase his fighting strength by 5 times. He clenched his fist and the overbearing god spear appeared in his hand. Bam! Lu Ming took a step forward, and the ground exploded. Lu Ming's body turned into a gust of wind and charged towards Di Jianyi. The overbearing god spear pressed down. The void shook violently and the huge spear pressed down on Di Jianyi like Mount Tai. Clang! There was a loud sword chime and a resplendent sword light clashed with the overbearing god spear. There was a loud explosion and a violent force swept out in all directions. Then the long sword in Di Jianyi's hand shook continuously. In the end, there was a loud bang and it exploded into pieces. Di Jianyi retreated and hit a huge rock that was a few hundred meters tall. The huge rock was smashed into pieces. Impressive. Lu Ming, you are more impressive than I had imagined. Di Jianyi smiled. However, there was an even stronger fighting spirit on his face. Still want to test me? Lu Ming said coldly. It was obvious that Di Jianyi had not used his full strength earlier. His battle sword was only an ordinary monarch-grade battle sword and not a secret skill of the origin. Hence, it had been shattered by Lu Ming. Lu Ming, in a battle of the same level, you are the strongest person that I have met. Come on. Let's see if you can give me a good fight. Di Jianyi let out a soaring fighting spirit. Above his head, a stone battle sword floated and was held in his hand. It was the secret skill of the origin. Then there was a shocking sword light that pierced through the clouds from Di Jianyi's body. Die! Di Jianyi roared and slashed with his battle sword. It was shockingly fast and slashed towards Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming moved and charged towards Di Jianyi. The resplendent spear light looked as though it was going to pierce through the heavens. Boom! The two of them collided, and there was a destructive storm that swept out in all directions. Then, the two of them retreated at the same time. However, in the next moment, the two of them charged towards each other and collided again. In the sky, there was a sword light and a spear light that collided with each other continuously. Their speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. They were evenly matched. After exchanging dozens of blows, there was no clear winner. Such strong power. The divine skill that Di Jianyi has cultivated is extremely shocking. Lu Ming was shocked. He felt that Di Jiani's divine power was extremely terrifying. His divine power was as though it was formed by countless tiny sword auras. It was extremely condensed and sharp. It was indestructible, and it was many times stronger than an ordinary divine power. Moreover, Di Jiani's origin divine power factor had also been awakened 4 times. Although Lu Ming's cultivation was also in the 9th heaven of King God realm, any single type of divine power would not be able to compete with Di Jiani's divine power. Only by circulating 11 types of divine power at the same time could he barely suppress Di Jiani's divine power. Lu Ming guessed that Di Jiani definitely did not cultivate an ordinary skill. Just like the universe 10,000 Tao scripture, it was also an extremely rare and terrifying skill. The divine power that was cultivated was extremely powerful. Moreover, the space between Di Jiani's eyebrows was glowing as though it was giving off boundless sword essence. This caused the power of every stroke of Di Jiani to be extremely powerful. One should know that Lu Ming's cultivation was the same as Di Jiani's, which was in the 9th heaven of King God realm. However, Lu Ming had the support of the battle character art, which increased his fighting power by 5 times and 11 types of divine power. Even so, he was unable to do anything to Di Jiani. It could be seen that Di Jiani also had terrifying support. Firstly, it was the terrifying divine power. Secondly, it was related to the sword essence in the space between his eyebrows. Chapter 3491. I know. His origin source ancient character is sword. It's that guy's sword. The quantifying character formula shouted. Sword? This guy's origin ancient word is sword. No wonder his sword skills are so terrifying. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Di Jiani had originally cultivated the sword, and he had also obtained one of the origin ancient words, sword. It could be said that they complemented each other, and Di Jiani's attacks were extremely powerful. Lu Ming was shocked, but he didn't know that Di Jiani was even more shocked. He was a person with great luck. He had fought his way up from a small 1,000 world. When he came to the chaotic universe, he had a fortuitous encounter, and possessed a terrifying divine skill. He also controlled the origin ancient word, sword, which allowed his attacks to be extremely powerful. In a battle of the same level, no one could match up against him. No matter how strong a supreme talent was, they would be instantly killed by him in a battle of the same level. But then he had met Lu Ming. In a battle of the same level, Lu Ming could match up against him. Moreover, after dozens of moves, Di Jiani was no match for Lu Ming. He was slightly suppressed and was in a disadvantageous position. To him, this was unimaginable. Rumble, rumble, rumble. After dozens of moves, Lu Ming became fiercer and fiercer. As for Di Jiani, he started to retreat. Di Jiani, show me what you have. Today, I will show you what it means to be the strongest among the same level. Lu Ming roared, and his tyrannical god spear shook continuously. It turned into a few hundred spear lights and charged towards Di Jiani. Let me show you. Flying snow divine sword, roaring flame divine sword, holy light divine sword. Di Jiani roared, and the sword intention on his body became stronger. Then different fighting swords appeared one after another. There were fighting swords that were emitting chilliness, fighting swords that were filled with flames, fighting swords that were extremely bright, fighting swords that were as dark as the abyss. There was a total of 9 fighting swords, and every sword was filled with different attributes. This is the secret skill of origin? No, it's not the secret skill of origin. It's a normal secret skill. Lu Ming's heart stirred. It wasn't the secret skill of origin but other secret skills. However, it was clear that these were different secret techniques. Each sword represented a secret technique. Di Jiani's talent in sword principle was terrifying. He had mastered so many secret skills of sword principle. When he attacked, he used 9 different secret skills of sword principle. Kill. The Emperor's sword let out a long whistle, and 9 different divine swords turned into resplendent sword lights that attacked Lu Ming from all directions. They attacked Lu Ming from all directions. Sword chi howled, shaking the heavens and earth. Lu Ming seemed to be sealed in a sword array. Let's see who has more secret techniques. The Sovereign's Gate, the Voidbreaker sword, and the Sky Devil blade. Lu Ming shouted. Above his head, secret techniques of origin appeared one after another, emitting an ancient and desolate aura as they flew towards the battle swords. Boom, 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 another terrifying collision occurred. Then, the battle swords of different attributes trembled incessantly and were sent flying. In the end, the power of the origin source secret technique was still slightly stronger. Source secret techniques, they're all source secret techniques. Lu Ming, you're really cultivating an ancient cultivation method. Di Jianyi's voice was solemn. He had thought that Lu Ming was cultivating an ancient cultivation method and could control many kinds of divine power. Otherwise, how could he block his divine power? Kill! Lu Ming shouted coldly. His pupils turned into two whirlpools. This was the yin-yang god eyes. Then, yin-yang runes appeared around Di Jianyi and surrounded him. Then Lu Ming took a step forward. In the sky, 9 dragons appeared. There were 108 dragons that roared and pounced towards Di Jianyi. Following closely behind were various origin source secret techniques. As for Lu Ming, he stepped on the wind destroyer boots and charged toward Di Jianyi like a phantom. Lu Ming, you're the first to force me to this stage. Open! Di Jianyi roared. The stone sword in his hand suddenly exploded with a terrifying sword essence. Then a sword aura soared into the sky and stirred up the wind and clouds. The terrifying sword aura swept across the void. The yin-yang runes were the first to be slashed apart by the sword aura. Then, the sword aura bombarded all the divine dragon celestial appearances, and the 9 dragons exploded one after another. Wherever the sword aura passed, nothing could block it. Even the ruler's gate and void-shattering sword were sent flying. In the end, the sword aura slashed the tyrannical deity spear. The tyrannical deity spear vibrated, and Lu Ming was sent flying by a terrifying force. Secret technique of origin, I severed a shackle. Lu Ming muttered. That's right. My secret technique of origin has severed a shackle. Lu Ming, what about you? You've cultivated so many secret techniques of origin, and have diverted too much of your energy. It's almost impossible for you to sever a shackle. Di Jianyi said. Although his voice was calm, anyone could hear the pride and confidence in it. To be able to sever a shackle, I have to admit that you're very powerful. However, do you think that you're the only one who can sever a shackle? Lu Ming's voice was heard. Then a terrifying aura was emitted from the tyrannical deity spear. Di Jianyi's pupils contracted rapidly and he was extremely shocked. He had never expected Lu Ming to be able to sever a shackle. He had originally thought that among the younger generation of the Taixi dynasty, he was the only one who had severed a shackle on the secret technique of origin. In his heart, there was one more Lu Ming. Great! Lu Ming, you've indeed exceeded my expectations. However, you're only worthy for me to kill you. You're worthy for me to use my full strength. Di Jianyi was only shocked for a moment. Then he revealed a strong fighting spirit and excitement. Yes, Lu Ming's strength had completely aroused his competitive spirit and killing intent. Clang, clang, clang. Di Jianyi's body continuously emitted sword chimes. It was as though 10,000 swords were chiming in unison. Countless sword chi burst out from his body and made him look extremely resplendent. Sword chi. At that moment, in Lu Ming's eyes, every muscle, every bone and even every hair on Di Jianyi's body had turned into sword chi. Is this elemental spirit sword body? Has he finally used it? It seems that Di Jianyi has already used his full strength. Lu Ming muttered. Lu Ming had long known that Di Jianyi had mastered a terrifying secret technique of body constitution. Elemental spirit sword body. Di Jianyi's talent in sword principle was heaven-defying. In addition to the origin ancient word sword, his elemental spirit sword body had probably been cultivated to a shocking level. Lu Ming, under my full strength die. Di Jianyi roared. Then he waved his hand and the stone sword in his hand slashed out. A boundless sword light that was a few million miles long slashed towards Lu Ming. Within a few million miles, the sword light could be seen. When the other supreme talents in the vicinity saw the sword light, they were almost scared to death. What a terrifying sword light! Who released it? Could it be one of the few Sir God realm existences that released it? It's too terrifying. Even an ordinary Sir God isn't that powerful. Many people roared in shock and their faces turned pale. Then, they ran as far as they could and didn't dare to go near the area where the sword light was released. Chapter 3492. As Emperor Jiani slashed out, the 9 different types of divine swords also charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face was solemn as he activated the power in his body to the extreme. Boundless divine power was continuously channeled into various origin source secret techniques, allowing the origin source secret techniques to explode with the strongest power. Boom! The two of them collided again as various attacks were exchanged. This time, the sky was torn apart. Terrifying cracks appeared in the sky. Terrifying energy fell to the ground. However, runes appeared on the ground, forming a huge formation that blocked all the attacks. This world had been modified by the people of the Taishu dynasty and Tianyi sacred dynasty. Runes and arrays were everywhere as they were afraid of being destroyed. The two of them fought intensely and in an instant, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Boom! Lu Ming's body retreated. A sword wound appeared on his shoulder and blood flowed out. His shoulder was almost chopped off. Lu Ming, is this all you've got? Then die today. Emperor Jiani roared and his fighting power was at its peak. A pair of wings appeared on his back. The wings were formed by sword chi, and they allowed his speed to reach a shocking level. The sword chi wings flapped and Emperor Jiani turned into a ray of sword light. With terrifying sword pressure, he charged towards Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! The two of them exchanged another blow. Then Lu Ming retreated. It's indeed powerful. Emperor Jiani's original spirit sword body has reached a terrifying level. A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Looks like I don't have to use the primordial divine body to be Emperor Jiani's match. Lu Ming muttered. Emperor Jiani's power was absolutely terrifying. He was even stronger than Murong Qiushui, whom he had met in the primordial divine world. When Lu Ming had defeated Murong Qiushui, his cultivation was only in the 8th heaven of King God realm. Now Lu Ming's cultivation level had reached the 9th heaven of the Divine King realm, which was the same as Di Jiani's. It could be said that he was not weaker than the top geniuses in terms of cultivation level. However, Di Jiani was the first in history to be able to fight him to this extent. There had never been anyone who could fight with Lu Ming to such an extent. Lu Ming, I'll send you on your way. Emperor Jiani's cold voice resounded as he slashed his sword down once again. The void shook like waves. Do you think that you're the only one who has cultivated the secret body constitution? Lu Ming stood in the air, and his cold voice could be heard. At this moment, a drop of primordial divine blood in his heart was activated and seeped into his entire body. Roar! An earth-shattering dragon roar was emitted from Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming was filled with endless power. Primordial divine blood. Wang! The tyrannical god spear shook vigorously and swept out. It turned into a resplendent spear light and collided with Di Jiani's attack. Dong! This time, the entire sky within a radius of a few million miles shook violently. It was as though a piece of paper was being blown by the wind. In the middle of the collision, there was a resplendent radiance that was like the sun. Then a figure retreated. It was Emperor Jiani. This time, Emperor Jiani was the one who retreated. As for Lu Ming, his body only shook a little. You still have a trump card? How is that possible? This time, Emperor Jiani couldn't stay calm. His eyes opened wide as he roared in disbelief. Lu Ming had more trump cards than him. How was that possible? He had never come across such a situation before. Do you still have a trump card? Use all of them. Kill! Lu Ming bellowed. He stepped on Wind Destroyer boots and charged towards Emperor Jiani like a ray of light. I don't believe it. Emperor Jiani bellowed and charged towards Lu Ming. The two of them fought fiercely again. This time, the two of them went all out and didn't hold back any trump cards. The two of them fought fiercely. However, Emperor Jiani was at a disadvantage. He was suppressed by Lu Ming and kept retreating. He was no match for him. Although his primordial spirit sword body was strong, it was still a far cry from Lu Ming's primitive divine body. Bam! Emperor Jiani was swept by the spear radiance and his body almost exploded. Many of his bones were broken. He retreated and spat out blood. Heaven sword wheel! Emperor Jiani bellowed. The stone sword in his hand flew out, and formed a sword wheel with the other 9 divine swords of different attributes. Then it charged towards Lu Ming. The sword wheel rotated at a shocking speed, and it could crush everything. Dang! Lu Ming waved his heavenly sword and hit the sword wheel. The sword wheel shook violently and flew out. Emperor Jiani, you will definitely lose today, Lu Ming said coldly, and the heavenly sword continued to attack. Emperor Jiani bellowed, and controlled the sword wheel to block with all his might. Dang! 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 Terrifying vibrations could be heard continuously. In an instant, Lu Ming had attacked more than 10 times. In the end, the sword wheel couldn't take it anymore and it exploded. The 9 divine swords of different attributes exploded and disappeared. Cracks had also appeared on the surface of the stone sword. Boom! Lu Ming struck out with his sword again, hitting the stone combat sword. This time, the stone combat sword shattered. Emperor Jiani shook violently and blood spurted out of his mouth as he retreated. Lu Ming stepped out and chased after Emperor Jiani. The spear radiance wreaked havoc as though it was going to pierce the sky. Emperor Jiani kept flashing and wanted to dodge. However, he was still one step too slow. He was swept by the spear radiance, and one of his arms exploded. Emperor Jiani bellowed and didn't continue to fight. He turned into a sword light and flew far away. He wanted to escape. Emperor Jiani felt humiliated, and his heart was filled with murderous intent. In a battle between peers, he had never had such an experience. Escape? In a battle between peers, he had never thought of escaping. However, this time around he had lost. He had lost completely. If he didn't leave, he would die here. He had to leave. He firmly believed that he would become stronger in the future, and he would kill Lu Ming. Want to leave? Stay. Lu Ming's eyes were cold, and he was filled with murderous intent. He had to kill Emperor Jiani. Previously, Emperor Jiani had launched a sneak attack on him, and wanted to steal his origin ancient word. Since they were enemies, he couldn't be left alive. In actual fact, Lu Ming wasn't a narrow-minded person, and he wasn't a greedy person. Even if he came across other people who had origin ancient word, he wouldn't take the initiative to steal it. If others could get it, it would be his opportunity. However, if others wanted to kill him and steal his origin ancient word, it would be a different story. Lu Ming chased after Emperor Jiani at a shocking speed. The tyrant god's spear stabbed continuously, and the sky was filled with resplendent spear radiance. Emperor Jiani turned into a sword light and dodged continuously. However, he was severely injured and his speed was greatly affected. He couldn't dodge at all. After dodging over 10 moves, he was finally swept by a spear radiance and his lower body exploded. Of course, at their level, their vitality was very tenacious. Even so, Emperor Jiani was still escaping at a shocking speed. Chapter 3493. However, Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he chased after Di Jiani. This part of the sky was originally covered by densely packed iron-devouring bugs. However, the battle between Lu Ming and Di Jiani earlier was too intense. The terrifying force swept in all directions. Countless iron-devouring bugs were engulfed by the force of the two of them, and turned into ashes. Now the sky was empty. Di Jiani's speed was shocking and he flew out a few thousand miles in the blink of an eye. However, Lu Ming's speed was even faster. With the combination of 9 Heaven Kuanprung skill and Wind Destroyer boots, he turned into a streamer and quickly approached Di Jiani. His tyrant god spear shook, and there were dozens of spear lights that pierced through the void towards Di Jiani, sealing off all of Di Jiani's escape routes. With a bang, another spear light hit Di Jiani's body. Only half of his body was left and his body exploded. In the end, only his head was left and it flew forward. He had not given up and was still struggling. His willpower was shockingly firm. In this aspect, he was very similar to Lu Ming. Until the last moment, he would definitely not give up. Die. Lu Ming quickly closed in, and a mountain-like spear light pressed down on Di Jiani. Rumble. The huge spear light completely covered Di Jiani's head. He had nowhere to run. When the spear landed, he would definitely die. However, at that moment, there was a resplendent radiance in between Di Jiani's eyebrows. Lu Ming saw that there was a word sword in between Di Jiani's eyebrows and it was shining with radiance. Then, a terrifying sword light burst out from the word sword and swept across the sky. It was extremely terrifying, and it slashed Lu Ming's spear light. It caused Lu Ming's spear light to shake violently, and then it was slashed into two. Lu Ming's face changed, and he quickly retreated. He only managed to stabilize himself after retreating a few thousand miles away. On his chest, there was an additional sword wound. It was so deep that his bones could be seen and blood was flowing out. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Di Jiani turned into a sword light and with a few flashes he disappeared. Damn it! Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He had never expected that at the crucial moment, the origin ancient word sword would actually unleash such a terrifying attack that repelled Lu Ming and allowed Emperor Jiani to escape. How can someone else's origin ancient characters be so powerful? Lu Ming mumbled, feeling extremely envious. Take him for example. Although he had two origin ancient characters, like the battle character, he was completely passive and could only unleash several times his battle prowess. However, he would never attack on his own. As for the quantification formula, it was even more so. This sentence was heard by the quantifying formula. Immediately, the quantifying formula cried out, "Kid, what do you mean? Are you looking down on me? I'm so angry. Let me tell you, there are different types of origin ancient characters. That sword character focuses on offense, and its offensive power is unparalleled. It's normal for it to take the initiative to attack. As for me, I'm a support type. I can store divine power, but can the other origin ancient characters do the same? I can refine energy to increase your cultivation speed. Can the other ancient characters do the same? Without me, would your cultivation progress be so fast?" The quantifying formula cried out unhappily. Lu Ming was speechless and quickly admitted his mistake. Otherwise, he would be annoyed to death by the quantifying formula. However, he felt that it was a pity that Emperor Jiani had escaped. He had to admit that Emperor Jiani was extremely terrifying. Among all the enemies that he had encountered in his life, he was the most terrifying one. He had great luck, improved at a godly speed, and his battle prowess was even more shocking. He had given Lu Ming quite a bit of pressure. If he didn't die today, he would definitely become even more terrifying in the future. He would be a great opponent for Lu Ming. If I can defeat you today, I will naturally be able to defeat you in the future, Lu Ming muttered. His eyes were filled with strong confidence. If he could defeat Emperor Jiani now, he would definitely be able to defeat Emperor Jiani in the future. Moreover, the gap between him and Emperor Jiani would only increase. This was his confidence. This was a kind of invincible confidence. Immediately after, Lu Ming's body flashed and returned to the peak of the mountain. The promotion jade token was still there. After the battle between him and Emperor Jiani, no one dared to go near the area. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept the promotion jade token. After keeping the promotion jade token, Lu Ming waited quietly. There were a total of 16 promotion jade tokens. As long as the 16 promotion jade tokens were obtained, the array of this world would be activated and send them out. Lu Ming didn't have to wait for too long. After about a day, runes suddenly appeared in the sky. Then a light pillar enveloped Lu Ming. He felt his body sway and he left the place. In the next moment he appeared in mid-air. He looked around and realized that he had already appeared in mid-air above the square in Taishu Sage capital. Around him, figures appeared continuously. They were the supreme talents of the Taishu dynasty and Tianyi sacred dynasty. However, the number of people was much less than when they had entered. Obviously, many people had died in the battle. Emperor Jiani. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and he saw Emperor Jiani's figure not far away. At this moment, Emperor Jiani had already formed a body. However, his face was pale and his aura was weak. He also saw Lu Ming and his eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. Lu Ming also revealed his murderous intent. He really wanted to kill Emperor Jiani. However, it was obviously impossible. The Saint King, Crown Prince, and the rest were all here. It was unrealistic. Why is Lu Ming not dead? At this moment, the Crown Prince and the Imperial Advisor also stared at Lu Ming and were extremely surprised. Especially the Imperial Advisor. He was roaring in his heart and was unable to restrain his anger. Lu Ming was actually not dead. How could this be? Could it be that Emperor Jiani didn't find him? They were well aware of Di Jiani's abilities. They felt that given Di Jiani's abilities, he would definitely be able to kill Lu Ming without a doubt. However, they had never expected that Lu Ming was actually not dead. Then, they looked at Emperor Jiani and realized that Emperor Jiani's aura was extremely weak, and he looked like he had been severely injured. Could it be that Lu Ming had injured Emperor Jiani? Their hearts trembled, and they shook their heads frantically. Impossible. Emperor Jiani's strength was definitely extremely terrifying. Although he was in the 9th heaven of the Divine King realm, those few supreme talents in the Sir God realm might not be Emperor Jiani's match. They even thought that among the younger generation in the Taishu dynasty, there was no one who could be Emperor Jiani's match. However, Emperor Jiani was injured. How could this be? Could it be that Emperor Jiani was unlucky and encountered a Sir God realm wild beast? The imperial advisor thought to himself. In the world that Lu Ming and the rest had just entered, there were extremely terrifying wild beasts. Not only were there Sir God realm wild beasts, there were also Sir God realm wild beasts. Although there were very few Sir God realm wild beasts, there were still some. If one was unlucky, one would encounter one. Then, they could only comfort themselves that Emperor Jiani was injured because he had encountered a Sir God realm wild beast. They were unwilling to believe that he was injured by Lu Ming. Emperor Jiani was a person with great luck. He had obtained many fortuitous encounters and his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. Moreover, the Crown Prince and the Imperial Advisor had spent a large amount of resources to help Emperor Jiani cultivate. How could Lu Ming improve so quickly? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.